Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. My name is Liz, and I am the marketing director at Glassweld. And I have some of my team here with me today. We are going to be talking through some marketing tips and tricks to help you all grow your customer base and grow your business. So if you drop in, be sure to tell us hello, let us know where you're from. But for now, I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Paris.
Cool. Hey, everybody. I've seen some of you online. What's up, Steve? Thanks for popping in.
Hey, Steve.
Nice. Calgary. Yeah, we're in Bend, Oregon. A little bit about me. I've worked with Glassweld for just about a year now in the marketing. I'm doing a lot of social media and helping our customers online there. It's been an awesome experience, and I've learned so much. Originally, I'm from Tucson, so any Arizonians or Tucsonians, come say hi, please. If you're down there right now, let's hear what your weather's like. I bet it's just about perfect right now. But yeah, I've worked many different industries in marketing, from hospitality, restaurant, and now get to work in the automotive glass repair for marketing. It's been an awesome experience, like I said. And I just love helping all of you guys. So, hey, David, what's up? Bilal, what's up? Thanks for popping in.
Hey, guys.
Alex, go ahead. Tell us a little about yourself.
Hey, yeah, I'm Alex. I've been at Glassweld for almost a year now, and my background is in video production. I'm originally from Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. I've lived all around Ohio, and was in the freelance video world for a while and had my own video production business. And I've kind of been in all little bits and pieces of the marketing world and different areas of it. So coming to Glassweld was really fun. I've learned a lot from these two and kind of honing those skills every day. So it's been a fun ride.
Yeah, it's so great to have you guys on the team. Of course, we're missing our wonderful graphic designer, Dana. But otherwise, this makes up the marketing team at Glassweld. Like Paris said, it's so fun to be able to communicate with you guys and help you wherever we can. I'm actually a Texan, so I've been in Bend for almost 4 years now, which is crazy. I've had the chance to meet several of our customers, including Steve. It's great to see Steve around. And yeah, it's such a blast to be at Glassweld. And we're really excited to dive into some of these topics today. So like I said, we are going to be focusing on, of course, marketing. And we're going to talk all things about how to reach new customers, how to find people to help you with marketing, maybe even how to vet some of those people. I want to encourage you all to continue saying hi. Let us know that you're watching. Tell us where you're from. And please feel free to drop any questions that you have that you want us to make sure that we answer. And even if we can't answer it right in that moment, at the end of this little spiel, we are going to try to make time to go through all of the comments. So definitely encourage your questions. Doesn't matter if it's a small one or a big one, we will go for it. You know, David, hook 'em horn. So I'm actually an Aggie, so I have to say gig 'em Aggies, but I love you too as well. So I think that's the fun stuff. Let's go ahead and get into what we're going to talk about. So we hear all the time from customers like you guys that marketing can feel really intimidating. It can be really hard to know where to start and to know how to do all these things. Often with marketing, especially digital marketing, it's relatively technical, you know, building a website or figuring out how to do advertising. These are technical things that people spend years to learn. And so as a small business owner, I know that that can feel really intimidating. So we definitely want to address some of those things. We're going to talk through advertising, branding, website, reviews, all the good stuff. So let's go ahead and dive in. Alex, do you want to take us away with one of the first core components to marketing?
Sure. Yeah. That first one is going to be, excuse me, your brand. And that is not just what people see on a business card and on a website, but it's just you as a whole. So I think it's just how you kind of carry yourself as a professional. But it is also your logo and your appearance. And so that's always kind of intimidating to start. Like I mentioned, I've had my own business before, and I tried to kind of do the quick and easy way of making my own logo. And I printed it on business cards and everything. And I've looked back now that I have kind of learned what I know now. And I've looked back at that logo and I'm pretty embarrassed by it, honestly. So I would recommend not trying to make your own logo. There's a lot of great resources out there. We can talk a little more about these a little later, but a great resource for logos is a website called Fiverr. And you might have heard of it before. I think it's spelled FIVERR.com. And basically for as little as $5, you can pay someone to make a logo. And I think they actually have a logo generator built into their website too. And they look great. Like I've seen so many people come up with some really great logos from Fiverr, and you're paying really little money to get a really great looking logo. And it's really important to have a good looking logo because you want it to be something that's memorable. And you want it to be something that looks professional, because if it doesn't look professional, like mine was not, people won't call you, and people did not call me with my business card that had a pretty unprofessional logo on it. So that's kind of I think the front face of your brand. And then that kind of carries into your appearance as a whole. And that, that includes your business vehicle, if you have one, the clothing you wear while you're working, your brand as a whole is what's going to send the message of professionalism to your customers. So I think that if you're going to be kind of not really caring as much, that's going to show. And I think as a whole, that's kind of what you really want to be looking out for when it comes to branding. Is there anything else you guys can think of, Liz?
I mean, it just reminded me of the conversation we had earlier about how brand starts with the aesthetic piece and how you look, and then it extends into all these other things that we're going to talk about, who you are as a person and who your company is in terms of its integrity and how it treats its customers. All of that is tied into your brand. And so including kind of that vision of customer service, I think can be a part of deciding what you want your logo to look like, what you want your website to be like. So it's all very connected, but I think those are great points. Paris, would you add anything?
Yeah, I agree. And definitely like streamlining that look and making sure that when you do, everything from creating that initial design to putting it over your website and on your clothing, and making sure that that is always properly represented with, the right colors. It gets a little bit more technical. And if you work with a graphic designer, definitely ask them these questions and ask for different types of files for your logo, and understand which ones have a transparent background, so you don't, get a black website with a box that's white with your logo on it. Mm-hmm. It's those little things like that when a customer comes to visit your website and they see that difference of something that's very streamlined and professional and something that's maybe not as thought through. And it's a direct representation of how they are perceiving you as a business. So like I said, it's really hard for anybody just to think that they're going to be a master at that. So trying to find some resources and asking people who are, graphic designers or more skilled in this is going to be a huge leg up for you to be able to control that later on down the road and understand, those best practices.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have any control over what your logo looks like either. You can hire someone else, and it's encouraged to hire someone else to actually create it for you, but you can have the say as to what you want to be in it, what colors you want to use. So we just recommend finding someone to help out with that and finding someone who's actually a professional at it. Or a resource online like Fiverr.
Yeah, that's one of the things that will come up quite a bit during these different topics, is that there are some things that will be really efficient to do if you find somebody who's already good at it. There are some things you can bootstrap and buckle down and do, but with kind of the creative and aesthetic piece, a lot of times it really is hard for people who don't do that as their job to be able to do it well. I don't think any of us would claim that we are great at graphic design, and that's why we have Dana. And that helps us produce these amazing things that you guys end up seeing. All of that is made beautiful by somebody who's really skilled at it. But the other flip side to that is that there are things you can do It's just about knowing your strengths and your weaknesses.
And I think in to that point too, it's easy to draw up something and you like it a lot, but it might not resonate with other people. And so it's better to not take that risk, kind of like I did, where I made that mistake. And I thought it looked good at the time, but I'm telling you, I looked back and I was like, oh man, what was I thinking? This does not look good. So you don't want to make that mistake.
Yeah. I mean, the good news is if you start at a spot that you end up not happy with, you can always change it. So if you started and you took the leap and you did it on your own, that's awesome. Good for you. If you are ready to take things to the next level, that is totally fine to decide, you know what, I want to enhance my logo. I want to update my website. There's never a better time than now in order to do that. When it comes to things like logos and branding, Alex, do you have, or Paris, do you have any tips for like general rules around, like, for example, simplicity, multiple fonts, colors, any things like that?
Yeah, obviously, I think that the more simple it is, the easier it is to, one, remember, and two, for it to fit anywhere. You know, if you have a really complicated logo, sometimes that's really tough to fit where you need it on a website or on an article of clothing or on your vehicle. And so obviously less colors too. If you're gonna be making shirts or something for yourself, less colors involved, that means less money on shirts, because the more colors you have on a shirt, the more it's gonna cost. So things like that, where you know, if you think down the line a little bit, a more simple logo, just more simple branding in general usually goes a long way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, take for like Glassweld, for example, we have very simple logos, and then we use this iconic G when it's something that, you know, in the top right corner of your screen, you'll see our G there where it's easier represented. So, you know, think about how you're going to use that logo in different ways and what parts of it that you can, you know, utilize on different types of branding material.
Yeah, it's always great to look at other companies who are doing this well. If there's a company who you think, man, they just look sleek, pay attention to what they're doing. Why do you think that they look sleek? Look at their logo, see how many colors there are, look and see if it's complicated or simple. Chances are it's probably really simple. It's amazing what good design can accomplish when it's done well. Would you guys add anything else to it?
It's a big world, you know, and I see a lot of posts come in, like on our Pro Club, people asking for, you know, ideas about their logo, or asking the group there, like, what do you think about this logo that someone made me? And I think that's awesome that you guys are asking each other and giving really great feedback. And so if you guys ever have, you know, questions about that, like I said, the Pro Club is a great place to post. We will also give our 2 cents. And if you know, we're always here for you, just to give some quick insights as well. So don't hesitate to reach out and ask if you just need like a second opinion on something.
And one last thing too is that it doesn't, I really want to reiterate that it doesn't have to be expensive to get some help. Mm-hmm. There are resources that are really affordable with a lot of great results. In fact, I would say that if you're going to get charged, you know, $1,000 for a logo, I'd look elsewhere, because that's a lot of money that you really don't need to spend when there are resources like Fiverr. So if they make something great for you and you're stoked on it, then then that's worth it to you. But if you're worried about the cost, I think that's something that can be really affordable if you need it to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. David asks, is simplicity key? Honestly, David, yes. If you were going to show me a complicated logo versus a simple logo, 9 times out of 10, I would always push you towards the simple logo. That normally ends up paying off every time. Paris, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, car emblem logos are a great example of simplicity. You think about like some of the newest, like Tesla, that simple T. I mean, if you had no idea what Tesla was, you would look at that and probably think it was just like 2 lines, but you see it now and it's such an iconic look that you immediately will think Tesla. I mean, same for Volvo, Nissan, all of them. So, I mean, it just goes across the board, and you know, in business, that simplicity is key. If you look at a whole page of corporate logos, it's amazing how the, you know, regular human eye will be able to point out what the most simplest of logo is without even seeing the name of the company.
And they're usually pretty timeless too. Like once you do it once and put the effort and time in, that you won't have to mess with that later. It'll last forever. Versus if you've got something that you're really not stoked on, it could come up later where you're just gonna have to spend the time and money again.
Yeah, all good points. Hey, Bill, saw you drop in. The last point that comes to mind for me is whenever you are naming a company, keep in mind that you don't necessarily want that name to be super long, or it doesn't even have to be super creative. I guess a lot of times we feel like our customers like want to come up with something that is really out of the box, and sometimes that works really well. But also, Bill's windshield repair can work really darn well too. So don't feel too intimidated to do something simple. You can be creative in so many other ways, and you don't ever want creativity to stand in the way of people understanding what you do. Anyway, all good thoughts. Paris, do you want to take us to our next big
subject? So this one transitions really great from branding. I'm going to talk about digital presence, which is a huge part of marketing, and it's very broad. I would say one of your most important things will be your website. It's just kind of your go-to page of all your information streamlined into one place, because a lot of time information can get lost on different parts of the internet. So when a customer is searching for you, it's a great place for them to find where you're located, how to contact you, reviews about the services you offer, what type of services you offer, and so on. And it really does not have to be very difficult. I mean, some of the most simplest websites out there are literally one page. And, and some of the resources we've talked about, like Fiverr, are great places to get help on building a website. It really doesn't all have to be put on you. I know that a lot of you probably think that there's some really easy to use website builders out there that we've seen ads for, like Squarespace and Wix. And it's true, they're super simple, but everybody's different. So, we really recommend, if you don't feel like you're technically savvy, to go ahead and find some help and find somebody who can help you build that website and teach you a little bit about how to manage that website, so that all you need is somebody to build it for you, and you don't need to keep paying someone down the line to make updates to your website. So, for example, I actually built a website for my grandfather off Squarespace. He's a book author, and he just wanted something super simple. And so I built it on Squarespace for him. He's 60 years old. I created the account under his name so that all the billing was set up under him. The login was set up under his email, so that all I had to do was build it, give him a quick tutorial, and then he owned the website. So if you're having someone build a website for you, make sure that you have access to that website so that you don't get, you never know out there, but you don't want to get ripped off, or you don't want to get kicked out of your website if something were to happen between you and the designer. But yeah, it's super simple. It was able to build out something really nice. And a lot of those websites are easy to manage once it's all set up. So yeah, Fiverr is a great resource for that. And you're welcome to do some more Google searches of, how to hire freelance website designers. And it really doesn't need to be that much money. Some of the important aspects on your website will definitely be your branding. So once you get your logo, getting your logo up there, contact details. You might even include like a form, so people can just fill out a form that they're interested in your services, and you'll get notified automatically through your email or text message. Reviews is a great place to put on your website. Oftentimes there's different features to feature different reviews that come in all over the internet, and to highlight your top reviews on there. So when you have your website, you have complete control over everything that is on that website, compared to something where a review platform, say like Google My Business or Yelp, they're going to show all different types of reviews, the best reviews and also maybe the not so greatest reviews. So your website's a great place to just put your best foot forward, and you really want it to look visually appealing and have good written content, good pictures, because again, just like with your brand, how that looks visually is going to be a complete representation of how that customer perceives you as a business, as a technician. It's so strange. Like, they might not think necessarily like, oh, this website looks a little, handmade. I wonder if the repairs are like that, but in your mind, that process is happening. And so anytime if I go to a website, if I'm researching a business and they have a great looking website, it just gives me confidence as the consumer that this is a person I can trust and want to move forward with. So if you have any, I know websites are huge. So if you have any specific questions about websites, please pop them in or reach out. And then I was talking about those reviews. So having reviews on your website is huge. The review platforms like Google My Business and Yelp, there's plenty more out there, but some of those main ones, Liz, Alex, can you think of any of those other main ones off the top of your head besides social media?
Facebook, has you have a business page on Facebook, but yeah,
huge. So and the great thing about those is they're free, so you don't have to pay anything to be on it. And definitely highly recommend, especially Google My Business, because most people are searching in Google. So you can go to, search online how to set up Google My Business, go through the steps. It's very simple, and it's a great way to just, it's one of those, keys to getting yourself out there. And then being sure to go through those reviews, and you'll get notifications when someone leaves you a review. And a great thing is to interact with that review, whether it be positive or negative or neutral. And if it's something that is maybe not so great, reach out and try and make it better. That's a part of your customer service. That's a part of the service that you offer, not just when you replace or, repair a windshield or do a headlight restoration. It's an extension of your business. And if a not so great review comes in, like, don't worry, that's not the end of the world. I spent so many years working in the service industry, and I mean, that's just like a part of it. Like, sometimes people are angry when they come in, but our job is to make sure that we fix any issues that happen. And it is fixable. Things are always fixable, oftentimes just with a phone call too.
To that point, Paris, too, I think it's really important. And this goes back into your branding as a whole and your persona and professional persona as a whole, but responding to negative reviews in a really professional manner, because sometimes people get a little upset when someone reviews their business poorly. And, I'm sure you've even seen it if you've Googled a business before, and, you'll see that note, like a note or see the owner's response. And sometimes the owner is really heated and defensive in return. And it really puts a bad taste in people's mouths. So I think it's really important to answer that negative review with professionalism and just say, how can I fix this? How can we make this better? We're so sorry this happened to you. Because ultimately that is part of your brand, and you want to seem professional, and you want other people to see that and see that they'd want to go to you because they'd want to work with you because you seem like a good person to work with.
Yeah, exactly. It's so easy to, if you see a review come in and you're laying in bed at night and as a business owner and you get all mad, like, just put your phone down, like, calm down. Like, it's never a good thing, but it's good to just like come at it with poise and always handling those things with poise. David asked a great question. What should a website cost per year? In terms of maintaining your website, like if you were to go through someone like, Squarespace, I don't know what the current rates are, but expect to spend anything from, I think, $30 to $50 a month. And then, of course, there's also the cost of buying your domain, which is your www.whatever. Alex, you might be able to, or Liz, you might be able to give a little bit more insight into these numbers as well.
Yeah, I think Squarespace charges a monthly fee around $15 a month, but then that doesn't, that they're not building it for you. So it's helpful to have someone else build that site, and that charge is pretty much a one-time charge, whatever they're charging you to help build the site. which shouldn't be too expensive. Maybe $100 to a couple $100 if you're going through someone local. If you're using something like Fiverr or Fiverr, I'm not sure how you pronounce that site, but that can become a lot cheaper if you go through it that way. And I know that they do website building through that website as well. And so really, $15 to $30 a month is all I would imagine you'd ever be spending on a site. When it comes to your domain, I think Squarespace actually allows you to buy the domain through them. And I think that can be included in that price. And if not, usually a domain's only about $10 for an entire year.
Yeah. For those simpler websites, it's compared to the, the traffic that you're getting and potential customers, it's not a huge. I mean, I used to just like buy website domains just for fun and like mess around when I was in college. Like it's not too expensive. Great question. Some other things about digital presence. I'm going to talk about just, of course, your social media. You get to really choose what you want to be on and whatever is right for you. But we highly recommend Facebook is a huge one. Lots of people also search for local businesses on Facebook. You have potentials for ads, which Liz will jump into here in a little. There's review options on Facebook, and they have free business account resources. If any of you don't know, Facebook also owns Instagram, so they have great business capabilities. If you do just want to get a Facebook, get an Instagram, you can connect your business management tools together and kind of see everything that's happening on Facebook and Instagram on one platform. And again, it's all free just to get started. So great way to, represent yourself, link your website to your social media accounts and social media and, to your website, and just have them all cohesive, because people are going to be searching on different things. People are going to be searching for windshield repair on Google and on Facebook and on Instagram, and everybody has their different preferences. So when you can have them, yourself on all of those main sites where someone can find you, and you have a consistent, consistent presence. So you're posting a couple times a week at least. It's just going to make a huge difference for marketing your business and putting your best foot forward out there. It's a huge topic. There's so much to dive into. And so again, please post on the Pro Club, ask your fellow community, what works for them, what doesn't work for them. I know we've had so many conversations about techs finding huge amount of success and leads through Facebook advertising. And that can be, if you feel like you're ready to get to that next step with your business, explore that. Do some research. If you feel digital savvy, take a course. If it's in your budget, maybe find somebody to help you with some of these, advertising, because especially for local business, it can make a huge difference. Do you guys have anything that you can think of that would be great to add on for the digital presence?
Well, I think we've been talking a lot about, it might sound like we're talking to beginners, but really this applies to people who have already been doing this for years. So even if you have a website that's been around for a few years, if it's been longer than probably 2 years, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, it probably needs an update. That's kind of how it goes. We launched our new website in April 2020, and we already need to make some updates. That's how quickly the digital world moves. And you don't have to be on the cutting edge of everything, but there are small tweaks that can help really impress your customers when people land there. So even if you have a website, currently I recommend just taking a look at it, making sure that everything is up to date, maybe paying somebody just a little bit to consult and give you some recommendations for how you can improve. The other element is for social media. Again, if you already have these social media pages, great. You are going in the right direction, but it's also really important to maintain those pages. So a lot of times our customers will get started and then they'll create a Facebook page and everything looks great. And then they get busy, and this is totally understandable, but they stop posting. And all of a sudden, if somebody were to come look for you and find your Facebook page, they might think that you're not active. They might think that maybe your business isn't running right now, especially in the world of COVID. It's extremely important to clarify that you're open and that you're active. And one of the best ways you can do that is through having a social media presence. And I want to make sure that we're moving through things. So I'm going to go ahead and move us to the next topic. So far, we've talked about brand, and we've also talked about digital presence, which has been great. Another reminder, if you're watching, please just drop us a note in the comments. We want to say hi to you, tell us where you're from. Also, any of you are welcome to ask any questions. Even if we can't get to them right away, we will try to get to them at the end. So as Paris mentioned, advertising is kind of our third core component of what can be helpful with marketing a small business. And advertising can take so many forms. You know, there's the traditional advertising with like newspapers or billboards or business cards. And then there's the digital advertising side of things, which normally means things like Google ads or Facebook ads. And within advertising, there are so many options, and it can be an extremely powerful tool to help you reach the right customer. So I have a lot of experience in advertising, and before I worked at Glassweld, and one of the biggest things that I learned during my time doing that is that you never want, hey, Kelly, thanks for watching. You never want to throw ads out to the entire world. The best advertising is actually really targeted advertising. So if you are in a specific area, you can often do ads that target the tiniest little radius around where you are. And that is going to be the most profitable for you because those people are going to be the easiest to reach. So I used to live in San Antonio, and San Antonio is huge. If I was going to be doing advertising for a business in San Antonio, if I was doing rock chip repair, I would never advertise to all of San Antonio. I would advertise to a small niche, maybe a zip code, maybe a radius around where I am. If you find that there are certain characteristics around the type of customers who come to you more, excuse me. So if you find that for whatever reason in your area, a lot of moms end up with rock chips, I don't know, you can target women in a specific age range who have children to see your ads. So that's the beauty of ads. It's kind of the creepy part about it, but ideally you are going to be showing them to people who are interested in your service. So there's some benefits to that. So I guess a caveat I would say with that is that because ads cost money, you're actually often charged by click. So if somebody actually clicks on your ad, that's when you're charged. Because they cost money, you really want to make sure that they're set up correctly. And this kind of comes back to what we've talked about, where choosing to either really spend the time to learn it so that you can spend your money well, or finding somebody who's affordable who can do this for you often pays off in spades. In fact, that's one of my, if I have a friend who's starting a business, I always tell them, do not do your own advertising. Pay for somebody else to do it. It's just going to save you a lot of headache. But for my bootstrappers out there, if you really want to take a course and you want to learn, I know that y'all are smart, and I know it's not like you can't do it. You totally can. It's just a time thing. So just understand that with advertising, there's great power with it. It just requires either someone who's already skilled or a lot of training. So I definitely recommend looking into, honestly, for this industry, I would start with Facebook. I know that our, we have several customers, including Jason LaRosa, who gets a ton of leads, customers off of Facebook ad videos that he runs showing him restoring a headlight. You know, that's a really gripping way to show somebody the difference between yellowed headlights and clear headlights. And if you can show it to them in a way that's compelling by maybe, what do you call it when you speed something up? Like a
time lapse?
Like a time lapse, that helps a lot. Facebook Live is so fun. Exploring Facebook is definitely something that I would start with, and understanding, taking the time to understand which ads are going to be the most effective. So it's good to maybe test a few things. If it doesn't work at the beginning, that doesn't mean it's not going to work. Test a new video, test a new photo, try out a few things. You might learn what your audience is going to prefer. And for context, ads can cost anywhere from 20 cents a click to $10 a click. It really depends on what you're advertising on. If you're doing Facebook, you probably don't end up spending more than a couple dollars per click. And if you have targeted your audience well, those are highly qualified leads. And so it's well worth it, especially when you're able to charge, $65 for a pair of rock chips. Spending a couple bucks to get that lead is definitely worth that investment.
Which I think is another reason, Liz, to go back to what you were saying earlier of not over advertising. You want to fine tune that targeted audience, because otherwise you might get clicks from somewhere that's not going to ever come to you. You're going to be spending money that you don't need to be spending. Yeah,
that's exactly right. Yeah, and you'll waste money with your advertising if you go too broad, for sure.
Yeah. And I think if you want to find help doing that too, we were talking about this earlier. It's might not be as easy as the logo and the website kind of thing to find someone that you trust and that is qualified. And so we were talking earlier, it's good to kind of recognize some other businesses in the area that aren't necessarily competitors to you, but actually could even be like a benefit to you. So like car washes or, oil changing facilities, kind of see what they do and maybe ask them who they're using to help do their ads and help distribute those ads out to the world. So if you probably want to get in touch with those people anyway. And also they're going to probably have some good intel as to what works and what doesn't work as far as the area that you're going to be advertising in.
Yeah, it's so true. If you can find somebody you trust to give you a recommendation, that goes so far. And the beauty of ads is that you can turn them on and off at will. So if you have a really packed week, turn off your ads. You don't have to spend money on ads that week because you've already got a stacked schedule. You're able to be flexible with how much money you actually spend. And oftentimes what I've heard is that if a customer gets started with ads because they don't have customers right off the bat, after they've been going for a few months, they don't find that they need to spend ads anymore because they've got these customers who are then telling their friends, and they've already built this network of customers because they put in that work up front. You guys have anything to add to that?
I was going to say that's the beauty of digital advertising nowadays. I mean, the older school methods like newspaper advertising and, even over the television, it's really hard to track the progress of, what you're doing there and what kind of people you're reaching and your return on your investment. So things like Facebook advertising and on the digital, it's just so much easier to know that you're actually putting your money into a great method for advertising. I think is probably why we focus more on this subject than encouraging you to go advertise on the radio. I mean, do what you want, but that's a huge part is it's harder to know that you're actually making an investment in the right advertising channel with those other types.
Yes. I honestly would only recommend more traditional advertising to people who have large budgets because it can be really effective. But if you've got a tiny budget, try digital advertising because then you can see exactly how it's working and who you got from your ads. And that's just an amazing thing to know as a business owner.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right. Alex, you want to take the next one?
Sure. Yeah. So the next thing we're going to talk about is networking, which I love networking. I think it's just the concept of it is really cool. The idea that you can the more people you meet in weird ways, they might show up sometime later, helping you out in some other way. And it kind of coincides with the branding, right? So, you're going to present yourself a certain way to people. And the more people that you meet, they're going to know about you. So, if you're just trying to meet people in general, that's kind of something that I'm working on myself is just meeting people in general. When I'm at, the dog park or at a restaurant or something, if I recognize someone, I try and say hi. Sometimes you get that moment, I think I recognize that person and maybe I should say hi, but you kind of don't, I think it's really good to try and push yourself to do that because creating a relationship can benefit you in so many different ways, whether that's in your business or just, in life in general. Knowing more people always helps. And that being said too, if you're at the dog park and you meet some dog park friends and, they're a friend of a friend has a rock chip in their window, and that person sees and I know a guy from the dog park. I have his number. He's right here. I think that kind of stuff, it might not be a immediate payoff for anything. It might not show directly how it's working, but over time, that stuff, like with networking in general, it just is, it shows itself later down the line. I think that's really important. There's more I had to say about this, and I can't really remember. What were we talking about earlier, Liz? What were some of the topics we were talking about in the networking world?
One of the things we talked about is encouraging your customers to build your network for you.
Yeah.
Spreading the word, incentivizing them to spread the word, getting referral discounts next time they have a rock chip. If they referred somebody to you, maybe they get a discount next time.
Exactly. That, and then just, again, reaching out to multiple dealerships or car washes or anything, just knowing people who are kind of within the same type of industry as you. I know that rock chip repair is its own industry, but that fits within the automotive industry as a whole. And I think getting to know people within the automotive industry, that's always a good thing. You're always going to run into people that need help with different things. And if they've got a guy that does rock chip repair, guy or girl that does rock chip repair, I think that they're going to call you up if you presented yourself well and they know you and you've talked to them multiple times.
Yeah, I'm talking about rock chip repair really specifically, but
right.
In general, this applies to all businesses. Almost everything we've said applies to headlight restoration. If you're doing scratch removal, if you're doing a windshield replacement, all of this applies. And I see that David made a note that he loves networking and building relationships. And David, this is me talking to you directly. We have never met, I don't think, in person, but I've seen how you interact with people on the Pro Club and on our website. On our Facebook pages. And I can tell you have already created a brand in my mind, an impression of you, which is that you do like networking and building relationships. And if I ever had the opportunity to get a rock chip fixed by you, I would totally do it. So that goes such a long way. Paris, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I was going to say, and this brings me back because Steve asked a question earlier, best way to market to fleets. Mm-hmm. And actually next Friday, our some other members of our team is going to hop on to live, and they're going to talk a little bit more specifically about how to land some of those fleet accounts and just general tips for making sales. But this definitely is a huge part of landing those fleets, of building relationships and networking. And it's not necessarily something that will be probably just like a one-time interaction. It's going to take a little bit of time to build up. And like Alex was saying, like networking, we always say like everybody's success story is a little different. And that's just, the beauty of life and the beauty of running a small business and opportunity and always being like just a great person to be around. And people remember that. And they, we were saying like, if you never know who you're going to meet, who tells somebody else, hey, I just met somebody who has, a glass repair business. Oh, you have a rock chip. Like, let me get you in contact. Those things really start to come around. So definitely with your fleet account, Steve, tune in next week on Friday for more details on that. But I know they're going to talk a lot about building relationships with some of those key people in those industry or in the businesses.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth about that one, Paris. And Steve, also, we hope that you are recovering well from your surgery and that you're feeling good. Anything else y'all would add about any of these 4 things before we go into questions?
Maybe let's just mention real quick too. This kind of goes into everything, but there are really great resources within your industry. And I think everyone in the industry, as long as they're not necessarily in the exact same city, if they're not a direct competitor to you, but like Liz mentioned, our Pro Club, and then some other online platforms, forums that you can get a lot of help and meet some great people on there. If you ever have any questions for anything, I've seen it online. It's just I think the industry, the automotive industry as a whole is really open to helping other people in the industry. So I think it's really important to build your network online. That's kind of an easy first baby step into the networking and branding world because, I've seen people post, to certain Facebook groups like, hey, what do people think of this logo? And, you're going to get a bunch of different opinions. Some of them that might not be what you want to hear. But sometimes you don't have to listen to them, but sometimes they're just constructive to get a good baseline idea of what you're going for. And that's, whether that's your headlight restoration or rock chip repair too. If you have a repair that you're like, hey, I'm proud of this repair, I want to show it off. You can get a lot of great feedback on it. And maybe not even feedback, but more just a lot of people patting you on the back and getting you stoked too. So
Yeah. And another thing is the great thing about, I mean, all our techs here that are watching, you're using these great Glasswell tools, and they're durable, and you're practicing and you're training and you're focusing your time on making great repairs. And when you focus your energy into what really matters, which is that end product, it makes marketing so much easier. It's easy to market a great product. That's what I love about working at Glasswell. We have, great products, so it makes my job a lot easier. I get to focus on, actually believing in what I am marketing myself. So it's the same for your business. When you believe in the end result that you're putting out, and you know that customers are going to love it, it's going to make marketing easier. And so that's why we do recommend finding help when it feels like a little bit too over your head, so that you can actually focus on being a business owner and running your business, because there's so many aspects to running a business, and marketing really is just one of them. I think the heart, but you should definitely get help with that. Every successful business owner should find help, so that they can continue to grow and not have to worry about, those things that they didn't get into business for.
Yeah, that's really well said. Important to prioritize. We all have a finite amount of time, a finite amount of energy. Choosing to use it well is one of the best decisions you can make as a business owner and as a person. I'm sure you guys can tell we're really passionate about this. I do want to make sure that we wrap this up so everybody can go enjoy happy hour. But I do want to answer a couple questions. It looks like, I think the main one we haven't answered yet is David Montez asks, what should it cost to build a decent website page? I think we mentioned that just briefly. Depending on the vendor that you're using, it can range from anywhere. I would expect a minimum to be probably $200. And if you're finding somebody who really considers himself a professional who does it, and they're going to do it all the way and make multiple pages, it could be as high as $1,000. I would say in general, expect to pay, if you're paying more than $500, $500 to $600, it's probably more than what you need. So most people who are doing a single service windshield repair, or maybe windshield or headlight, you don't need an elaborate website. So anything more than $5 probably is just overkill. Would y'all add to that?
Yeah, I mean, just you want to keep your website simple anyway. So the more complex it is, I mean, it's just, you're going to be getting ripped off, because you could go to an advertising agency or a web agency in town, and they're going to quote you, and they're going to say they're going to charge you $5,500 for a website and not blink an eye, And I think that it's really important to consider really what you're showing, and that's going to be a few images of what you do, your contact information, and maybe some reviews. And, I think that it's important to just kind of follow along the grandma test. And if your grandma can find everything she would need to how to contact you on your website, then you're good to go. If she can't find it, it's too complicated, and you don't need to be spending too much money on it. So
yeah, great. Simplicity is key. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that helps, David. Thanks for the question. Thank you all so much for tuning in. A couple things real quick. If you want more information on this, we've barely scratched the surface, and we've almost been going for an hour. We have actually created a business course. It's an online course called Starting Your Glass Repair Business. And it's designed to really guide you through the details of some of these pieces. So make sure to check that out. It's well worth your time and worth the investment. Plus, there's tons of information, including insurance and sales and all of the things. So if you're looking for business advice, including marketing, check out our online business course. Next week, we are continuing these training videos. So we are continuing to meet at 3 p.m. Pacific time, Monday through Friday next week. And that's going to wrap up our training. And we're covering a lot of great topics, including one of the ones that Paris mentioned, which is we're going to hear from our account management team about how to land fleet accounts and how to close sales, which will be great. We're also hearing from Maureen and Shiloh. They're going to be focusing on scratch removal and how you can use that to land new accounts. Anyway, good stuff is coming. So be sure to be tuned in for next week. And finally, last reminder is that this month only, we are doing a coupon code for $25 off any order of $100 or more on our website. Just use code March25 at checkout if you want to take advantage of that little gift from us to you. But it's been such a pleasure talking with you all this afternoon. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you all have the most amazing weekend and happy Friday. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much.
See y'all.